Welcome Cambridgeers to a new progression test, Ink Heart by Cornelia Funke, a celebrity movie and book, of course. Masterpiece. Advise you to read it. Very humorous, funny events, very entertaining. Text for Section A, an extract from Ink Heart by Cornelia Funke. While looking out of her bedroom window, Maggie spots a figure standing in the shadows of outside her house. She immediately goes to find her father, Mo. There was still a light on in Mo's room. He often stayed up reading late into the night. Maggie had inherited her love of books from her father. When she took refuge from a bad dream with him, nothing could lull her back to sleep better than Mo's calm breathing beside her and the sound of the pages turning. Nothing chased away nightmares faster than the rustle of printed paper. But the figure outside the house was no dream. The book Mo was reading was bound in pale blue linen. Later, Maggie remembered that too. What an important little detail stick in the memory. Mo, there's someone out in the yard. Her father raised his head and looked out at her with the usual absent expression he wore when she interrupted his reading. It always took him a few moments to find his way out of that other wall, the labyrinth of printed letters. Someone out in the yard? Are you sure? Yes. He's staring at our house. Mo put down his book. So what were you reading before you went to sleep, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? Maggie frowned. Please, Mo, come and look. He didn't believe her, but he went anyway. Maggie tugged him along the corridor so impatiently that he stubbed his toe on a pile of books, which was hardly surprising. Stacks of books were piled high all over the house, not just arranged on bookshelves the way other people kept them. Oh no. The books in Mo and Maggie's house were stacked under tables, on chairs, in the corners of rooms. There were books in the kitchen and books in the lavatory, books on the TV set and in the wardrobe, small piles of books, tall piles of books, books thick and thin, books old and new. They welcomed Maggie down to breakfast with invitingly open pages. They kept boredom at bay when the weather was bad, and sometimes you fell over them. He's just He's just standing there, whispered Maggie, leading Mo into her room. Has he got a hairy face? If so, he could be a werewolf. Oh, stop it. Maggie looked at him sternly, although his jokes made her feel less scared. Already she hardly believed any more in the figure standing in the rain, until she knelt down again at the window. There. Do you see him? She whispered. Mo looked out through the raindrops running down the pane and said nothing. Didn't you promise burglars would never break into our house because there is nothing here to steal? Whispered Maggie. He's not a burglar, replied Mo, but as he stepped back from the window, his face was so grave that Maggie's heart thudded faster than ever. Go back to bed, Maggie, he said. This visitor has come to see me. He left the room before Maggie could ask what kind of visitor, for goodness sake, turned up in the middle of the night. She followed him anxiously. As she crept down the corridor, she heard her father taking the chain off the front door, and when she reached the hall, she saw him standing in the open doorway. The night came in dark and damp, and the rushing of the rain sounded loud and threatening. Dustfinger, called Mo in the darkness. Is that you? Dustfinger? What kind of name was that? Maggie couldn't remember hearing it before, yet it sounded familiar, like a distant memory that wouldn't take shape properly. At first, all seemed still outside except for the rain falling, murmuring as if the night had found its voice. But then footsteps approached the house, and the man emerged from the darkness of the yard, his long coat so wet with rain that it clung to his leg. For a split second, as the stranger stepped into the light spilling out of the house, Maggie thought she saw a small furry head over his shoulder, snuffling as it looked out of his rucksack and then quickly disappearing back into it. Dustfinger wiped his wet face with his sleeve and offered his hand. How are you, Silver Tongue? He asked. It's been a long time. Hesitantly, Mo took the outstretched hand. A very long time, he said, looking past his visitor as if expected to see another figure emerge from the night. Come in, you will catch your death. Maggie says you have been standing out there for some time. Maggie? Oh, yes, of course. Dustfinger, let Mo lead him into the house. He scrutinized Maggie so thoroughly that she felt embarrassed and didn't know where to look. In the end, she just stepped back. She has grown. Remember her? Of course. Maggie knows that Mo double locked the door. Of course, you know Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is a very famous novel, horror novel, a famous horror story. I advise you to watch the movie first, then move into reading. Enjoy the reading more. Lavatories, bathroom, or toilet, of course. Let's go for the questions now about the selection, about the extract. First question is very easy. What helps Maggie get to sleep after a bad dream? Now, this question is, of course, it describes the relationship with her father, Mo, because just being with him, her father makes her feel secure and safe. His calm breathing next to her while reading, of course, give her this sense of security. Okay, sound of pages also, these are very important evidence. Sound of pages turning also makes her calm and secure. Hearing Mo reading beside the pages turning, this give her full confidence of the situation. Question 2 is a common question that you will find always in paper 2 fiction, of course. But the figure outside the house was no dream, line 6. What effect does the writer create by using the single sentence paragraph? Of course, he's creating suspense. This is his purpose. He's creating excitement. He's creating a dramatic moment. He's creating sense of fear. He's creating suspense, as we mentioned before. Explain in your own words how Maggie's father looks when his reading is interrupted. Of course, his expression changes. Okay, he's coming from a long distance, as if he's in a different world, different planet. So, okay, this is not normal for him. His face will be blank, no expressions. Okay, he looks as if he has been lost because he is already lost in the books. Okay, he came from a long distance away. This as if someone came from a long journey. So his expression will be what totally different. Question number 4. Books on the TV set and in the wardrobe, small piles of books, tall piles of books, books thick and thin, books old and new. These are from lines 22 to 24. Give one way these lines emphasize how many books Mo and Maggie have. Here we have different kind of techniques that the writer is trying to emphasize the amount of books exist in the house. We have the repetition of the word books, of course. We have the listing, different kind of places. We have the noun phrases, which is different from the clause, of course. The clause is a group of words that have a verb and its subject, but here the phrase doesn't have a verb and its subject, of course. We have also the contrast. This is a very important technique that the writer is using to emphasize the amount of books, thick and thin, tall and small, old and new. All these emphasize the amount of books, all kind of books, of course. This is the same as phrase. This is because you don't have a verb, so it will be a phrase, group of words which you don't have a subject, a verb, and its subject. Write one quotation from the text that shows a problem caused by the books. Of course, we have two problems. Now, you have books everywhere, piled everywhere. Of course, you will want to fall on them. So this is one technique, one example of evidence. Another example is the injury that happened to Mo himself when he was pushed by his daughter, and he stubbed his toe. He stubbed his toe like he crashed as a car. He crashed his toe into one of the piles of books, of course. Has he got hairy face? If so, he could be a werewolf. This is line 27. What does the quotation show about Mo's character? This, of course, he's trying to tease her. So he's jokey, trying to be funny, humorous. He's trying to decrease the tension, of course, but as a character, he's funny, he's humorous. He teases people, he's a jokey, of course. Let's move now to question number 6. How does the mood change when Mo sees figures standing in the rain? This is line 31. Of course, becomes serious. Okay, so we have a serious mood changing here. Now, stop teasing, and he has this grim face, so becomes grim, becomes anxious, worrying mood. Okay, the mood is no more light-hearted. It's a serious mood, except for the rain falling, murmuring as if the night had found its voice. This is line 45 to 46. What is underlined phrase an example of? Of course, it's not alliteration. Alliteration is a musical device to produce music. And we don't have a repeated syllable like great, wide, wonderful word, wow, wow, wow sound, which is a very famous poetic line. It's not a hyperbole, which is an exaggeration. It's overstating. When you say that I kicked him and he reached the moon, of course, this is a good example of hyperbole. Metaphor is when we compare two different things, but without using the word like or as. My mother is a flower. It will be different if it's my mother is like a flower. This will be simile. So it's not. We don't have here like or as, or we don't even have a comparison, but we have a personification. We have a thing being given or given a quality of a human being, which is murmuring, like whispering, in a low voice, as if the night had found its voice. So the night is personified as a human trying to find or finally found its voice, of course. Explaining in all words how the writer uses the night and the rain to create atmosphere. This is line 40 to 50. Support your answer with examples from the text. It's of course similar to the previous question, number 6, which is reflecting the mood. The same here. What are his tools to do this? Of course, it's the night, the dark outside, as if they can't see dust finger. The night and the rain are both described as though they are going to come as predators to get Maggie and Mo, which create a tense atmosphere because they seem like victims. They seem like prey for the predator, with which are what? Okay, night and rain. There are lots of words to describe the rain falling, to show how wet and miserable it is, how unpleasant it's going to be. It's foreshadowing that unpleasant events will take place or happen. Let's go now for question number 9. Which two features from the text suggest that it's from a mystery story? Here, tick 2 boxes, not 1, 2. Is it first person narrator? No. This common, realistic fiction or comedy or the tragedy, it's common in different kind of fiction. A nighttime setting, this of course can be counted as an element of mystery. The use of dialogue, now this could be also in a different kind of fiction. The use of flashback also can find it in a different kind of fiction. The withholding of information, yes. If the writer is trying to keep information from this means that he's trying to incite the reader and make him predict or think about unfavorable events or unpleasant events that might take place or mysterious events that are going to take place or happen. Explaining all words, his reaction to dust finger, support your answer with examples from the text. Of course, her reaction to the name itself, strange. She wanders from the name. But the movement inside Dustfinger's rucksack, the sack or the bag, little bag that he's having, is made her curious. If you manage to point to her curiosity, this is a very strong feeling or reaction that Maggie had. Also, she felt embarrassed. Why did she feel embarrassed? Because she kept staring at her. He was wondering, this is Maggie? Maggie, at the way he looked at her, and she didn't know where to look. Of course, she felt abashed, she felt embarrassed. This is another feeling. If you manage to put curiosity and prove it with the movement in the rucksack and the embarrassment because of the look of on his face when he was staring at her, these are two beautiful examples that shows Maggie's reaction to Dustfinger, of course. Maggie was a bit worried. This is a little bit not that strong because her heart was thumping, but she's good, correct, no problem. What about what sort of visitor would turn up into the middle of the night? She's worried, she's anxious, of course, but it's not as strong as her curiosity about the movement in the rucksack and the embarrassment because of his staring at her. Let's go now for question number 11. What two things do we learn about the past relationship between Mo and Dustfinger? Of course, they have code names. They know each other, of course. They know each other a very long time ago. Okay, they were involved in something that Maggie doesn't know about because They have special names. They have code names, Dustfinger and Silver Tongue. This is, of course, there is something mysterious. So of course, they reflect something mysterious going on between them both. Write one quotation from the text which could explain why Mo double locked the door. So the presence, of course, of Dustfinger, his look, he looks past him as if he expected to see another figure. This is, of course, a good evidence that show that danger is connected with this character, Dustfinger. There's another evil person. Okay, so Dustfinger is not himself the danger, but what comes with Dustfinger is the danger, of course. Explain all words how you can tell that Miggy and Mo have a close relationship. Support your answer with examples from the whole text. Of course, they have a very strong relationship. Okay, Mo makes time for Miggy. This is a very nice word. Okay, if you are a good father, you make time for your children. Because even when Mo didn't believe someone was outside, okay, he made fun of her. What were you, Dr. Haida and Mr. Jekyll? And Mr. Haida and Dr. Jekyll, of course, was trying to tease her. But anyway, he made time for her, stood up and support her. Mo is able to make Miggy less scared by telling jokes. It's a very strong evidence, of course, about the strong relationship, of course. Now, did it work? It worked. And teased her about being werewolf outside. Did it succeed? Did he succeed? Yes, he succeeded in decreasing the effect of the tension, and she became less worried, less anxious, because he's now supporting her, going with her to see what's going on. So making time for her as a father, of course, reasonable father usually do this, make time for them, not all time busy in their activities or hobbies or their work. Now let's go for the writing section. You're supposed to spend 30 minutes on this section. Write a story which begins with two people waiting for someone. You should consider the people who are waiting. Are they friends, members of a family, or do they work together? The setting, where are they waiting? What happens also, the events when the person they are waiting for arrives or doesn't arrive? Of course, should you make a plan? Start with the exposition in which you introduce your character and the setting. Describe the setting and relate it with, of course, the rising action. Here is an example. The cold wind whipped as Stanton raced against it. He had barely taken 2 bites of his toast when he grabbed his boots. Of course, notice the imagery used here, the personification, the metaphor, and the speed. Of course, the hyperbole is being used here. Then we move to the climax or the top event, the deafening silence. We have here oxymorons to add to the beauty of the language. Many oxymorons. Of course, we have deafening silence, and we have endless hour, and we have ran slowly, and being alone together, on vulnerable shelter. All these are oxymorons. If you just manage to put two or three together in a sentence or two, this of course will add beauty to your language. Of course, it's not just events that you are writing. Beside the dialogue that you are creating, beside the other elements of falling action and resolution, only patience was their ally against the destructive elements of the storm. Here we have another personification describing patient as a friend that is supporting them. Then we have finally the resolution. What if they couldn't resist anymore? This is like a wise wisdom learned here. What if they couldn't? And they suggest the struggle with not only the conflict, external conflict, but also the internal conflict. Here we have an internal conflict. What if they are like suggesting their ability will be not able to, they will not have the potentials to stand against too many elements, nature, maybe the gang that they are fighting, but maybe this could be there while considering it an element could be what could turn into an ally and help them to face their enemy, of course. Do your best to create a strong conflict, external conflict, of course. Man versus nature here while facing the storm. and man versus man, of course, while facing their enemies, those who want to take their land or take their uh, house or take their property, money, or whatever. Then the internal conflict, what the struggle, is it worth? Is it worthy of fighting for, or should they take just the shame and leave it? Of course, you can keep a cliffhanger, leave it open, while making your characters brave and resisting, and showing the end is vague and not clear for the reader, which will make them, of course, more interested in following your story and your description, of course. Good luck creating a nice story and scoring the best mark that you can